What's up, everybody? Today we are going to try and recreate a chain link fence. I was working on a project the other day and I needed a chain link fence, and I realized that I had no idea how to do it, and I always found the shape kind of intimidating. So that's what we're going to do today. And as a little fancy bonus tip, I'll teach you how to take some cloth and throw it over the top of your fence, because why not? So anyway, let's start with a brand new project. I'm not going to save that. We're going to get rid of our default cube, and we're going to add in a plane. You can do this by hitting Shift A and going to plane, or just going up here to add mesh and then plane. Next, we are going to tab into edit mode, and we're going to right click and subdivide. We're going to do this a couple of times. That looks good. You know what? Maybe one less. Okay, cool. Now with all these faces selected, we are going to go into face, and then we're going to go poke faces, and it's going to basically put a little dot or a little vertex in the middle of all of our faces, which gets us closer to our chain link fence. But then next we're going to go back to face, and we're going to go tries to quads. There you go. That's most of the way there. After that, we are going to then actually hit, we're going to hit delete, and we're going to go only faces. From here, we're going to go to our line segment mode, and we're going to just grab the tops of each of these, and then we will delete those out, and we're going to choose only edges. There you go. Cool. Do that on each side. Delete edges. Delete edges. One more time. Delete edges. Cool. Next, to actually give it some depth, we're going to come back out to object mode and right click on it, and we're going to convert this to a curve. There are a couple of ways to do this. The reason I like converting to a curve is because we now have this cool little curve geometry menu where we can drop down the geometry little menu, and then we can just pretty easily add some depth to our fence right here. Boom. We can add a little bit of resolution if you want. That's just going to smooth out our shape, and I think that looks good to me. So actually, let's make it a little bit thicker. There, something like that. Cool. So then the next thing we can do is we can flip this up 90 degrees by hitting R, X, 90. That will rotate it on the X axis right here. And then we can actually throw on an array modifier. Let's increase the count. Now there's a little gap in here between our fence links. We just play with this number to get them a little closer. Maybe 0.97, something like that. Cool. I like that. So you'll notice that if we try to actually apply the modifier right now, we can't. We're getting an error. It's because this is still technically a curve, not a mesh. So we'll just grab the whole thing, right click on it, and then say convert to mesh, and then it applies the modifier in the stack anyway, but now this whole thing is one big mesh. Cool. So on to the next part. We're going to add a little bit of a floor in here, just because why not? Gotta have something for our fence to stand on. Cool. So now we want to add in our little piece of cloth that we're going to drape over the top of it. The way that we do that is we're going to add a plane. Let's hover it over our fence. Make it a little bigger. Maybe make it a little thinner. Scale on the X axis to drag that in. And then we are going to tab into edit mode. And similarly to the fence, we're going to right click and then subdivide this a ton. That looks good for now. Go back to object mode. And then we actually want to apply all the transformations we've made, since we're going to be dealing with cloth, and cloth physics prefers you to do that. So you can hit Control A and apply all transforms. And then now we can go over to our modifier panel, and we're going to add, or actually, sorry, excuse me, we're going to go to physics, and with our cloth selected, we're going to, or sorry, with our plane selected, we're going to hit cloth, and then on our chain link fence, we're going to hit collision. And now if we hit play, we get something that might be a little wonky. Yep, there you go. So one of the things that we want to do is prevent the cloth from colliding with itself. Or actually, no, we want the cloth to collide with itself. Right now, if we don't turn on this feature, the cloth will go through itself, which is not what we want. So let's select our cloth, and then in the physics menu, we are going down to collisions. We want to turn self collisions on. Requeue that to the top, and then we actually want to increase the steps, the quality steps of our simulation. We don't have to go crazy, but something like 8 works for me. And then I'm going to hit play, let it do its thing. We're just looking for a frame that we like. Something like that, probably. Now it looks really bad right now. One of the things we need to do is add a subdivision surface modifier, and that will smooth everything out. And then we also want to click on it and shade auto smooth. We can up the steps on our subdivision surface. Okay, so Blender did end up crashing, so I rebuilt my scene, and we're back to this step here of trying to find the frame that we like for our cloth, so that we can essentially convert that to another mesh, so we're not dealing with the rendering of the cloth animation anymore. And so the only thing that I've done differently from the last time is I actually backed off the amount of subdivisions I put in the cloth initially. And it seems to be making the animation run a lot smoother. It still looks pretty bad, so here we are going to click on it, go back to our modifiers, and we are going to add a subdivision surface modifier. We can turn that up a little bit if we want, and then we'll right click, shade auto smooth, just to really smooth things out, and look for a frame that we like. Kind of like that frame works for me. So just like we did before with our fence, we can actually right click on this, and we can convert this to a mesh, and it will apply everything in the modifier stack so that we are not losing computing power trying to render out an animation when all we want is actually one still frame of it. And you might have a little bit of clipping. So you might have this going on here. If you do, now that it's a mesh, you can just kind of raise it up a little bit above wherever the tops of your chain link fence are. But that's pretty much the whole story right there. Made a fence. We got some cloth. Threw it on there because you know what our fence is for, if not to hang cloth on them. And then you just dial in your lighting and add some materials, and you got a scene. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. I know I haven't made a video in a little while. If there's something you want me to go over next, feel free to drop it in the comments. If you have any trouble or questions, again, drop it in the comments. I will do the best that I can to reply to each and every one of you. Thank you.